What is the biggest delay in construction? Material procurement. So in this video, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest delays that you all probably experience, and that is the delay of not having the materials on time. So I'm going to talk to you about the truth about what's going on with material procurement and delays, and ways that you can properly manage it. You've never heard the content that you're about to hear today, so stay with us. Okay, so before I begin, I'm going to talk and get to these awesome flip charts in the background. I want to talk to you about a book called The Fifth Discipline. And in the book, it talks about, or the author talks about, systems thinking, which is that individual components, thoughts, ideas, processes, levers, changes, solutions, fixes are really not the answer, because everything in life is a complex system. There's actually an example in the book where he talks about this game that he plays where you buy beer as a supplier, as a retailer, from the vendor, and what the impact of variation is. And what is interesting is, in the example, there's this certain type of beer that everybody likes. So they order a certain amount of cases, everyone comes in and buys them, and we're out, right? So there's less sales with the other types of beer because they wanted that type. So each of the retailers, each of the suppliers at the stores start ordering more cases. Instead of 2 cases, they order 8. Okay, so now that goes back to the vendor, but they don't have the capacity, right? So the next delivery, they still only get 2 or 3 cases. So then the suppliers start to say, well, okay, we ordered 8, we got 3. Now I'm going to double the order and order 16. And so everybody's doing this, and back over where the vendor is actually making the beer and bottling it, they're inundated with orders. They now have to ramp up capacity. They're riddled with variation. They're now producing less. And now they have all of this backlog, all of these backlogged orders. And so what happens is, every week, all of the actual suppliers, in comparison to the vendor, all of the suppliers are ordering more and selling more. Then by the time the vendor, the beer supplier, actually catches up and is able to supply, now more beer is coming in. Now the suppliers are like, oh, I got 16 cases. Oh, I don't know, I can't sell that. Now we've got 50. Now we've got, so much inventory, but by now the interest in the beer has waned, and now the suppliers don't know what to do with it. And so there's this knee-jerk reaction that is interrupting the market and overproducing and slowing everything down. And so sometimes people get upset at me when I say this, but it's true that it wasn't just COVID-19 in 2020 that affected the supply chains. It was our reaction to it. It was the fact, oh my gosh, we have plants shut down, their capacity is a little bit less, let's order 5 times more, 5 times sooner. And that panic did the exact same thing to our construction supply chains as what happens in that beer game. And we have to understand that in order to really work together in this collaborative system, because a lot of us contractors use the same suppliers. So that's the first thing that I want to start out with from a mindset standpoint: stability, appropriate orders, right-sized orders in a timely manner that are ordered properly, meaning in our case with the right submittals and the submittal reviews, in a responsible and non-panic manner, is the best thing that we can possibly do for our supply chains. Because now what's happening is the vendors know that this is what's happening, and not from an evil standpoint. That's not where it's coming from. But they already know your schedule is garbage. They already know you're ordering early. They already know you're ordering too much, and they already know that you're ordering it without properly checking it, and that you'll have a reorder. So their lead times, if their cycle time is this, their lead time may be this, because they know the crap that you're forcing them to deal with. And so now they have the upper hand. They have the control. Now it takes 2 years to get switchgear. Now it takes like expediting fees to get anything. It's absolutely ridiculous, and we've caused most of the problems. So let me go into some tips and tricks that you're gonna love for how to manage the biggest delay that we experience: material procurement. So number 1, and by the way, most of these suggestions I got from the book Built to Fail by Todd Zabel, and I really appreciate that book and the content and the tips and tricks that he gave me, so I want to give a shout out to that book. The first thing is, get rid of any unnecessary paperwork and bureaucracy in the overall process, right? It should be, what is the design? What is the submittal? What is the material order in the right quantities, accurately double checked and right sized for the project with accurate dimensions, with as little waste in the procurement process as possible from the time you send that purchase order to the shop. They initiate the order, fabricate it, and deliver it, and actually stage it onto the job site. So some of the times you find out that in a lead time for material procurement that most of it is wasted paperwork and bureaucracy, and that the actual cycle time to produce this with the right process is a lot shorter. Number 2, I want to talk to you about value stream management. This is a system that visualizes the flow of materials and information required to bring a product to the job site. The purpose of this is to outline each of the individual steps and to see what is value add and non-value add. So when you do value stream mapping, there's a lot of different types of indicators, so don't let me throw you off base here. You will want to dig into your symbols that you want to use and your nomenclature in the process that you want to follow. But value stream mapping is essentially where you say, okay, from the time that we release, well, in this instance for material procurement, by the time we release the materials with a purchase order, or actually by the time we start the submittal process, what are the different steps? And obviously in value stream maps, you're going to see different symbols of stocks and triangles. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but these are very valuable. So step 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through the process. And you might be like, hey, this is unneeded bureaucracy. This is duplicate paperwork. This is double handling that we don't want. What we're attempting to identify is what is value add. And that means it is a part of the process that actually adds value to getting the material to your project. The non-value add, these are the things that you can just get rid of. And like I said, if these steps in the process, you're like, oh my gosh, or the value stream are unnecessary, let's get rid of them. But then there's this one that's non-value add, but necessary, right? So what that means is that it might not be value add, but it is necessary. So examples for this would be, like transportation. I know that's going to make the truckers mad, but when you take transportation, right, does that help us to actually detail, fabricate, and actually finalize the product? These things right here are actually like things that help us to install in the field, but then transportation, it's necessary, but it doesn't actually add value to the product or our ability to install it on the building. It's just a necessary process because the place where we're fabricating it is away from the job site. And so you will keep your value add activities, and you will decide which non-value add activities that are necessary you'll keep, and you'll want to get rid of your non-value add activities inside that value stream. So in the procurement meetings on the job sites, I highly recommend you do a number of things, but one of them, which is absolutely key, is to go through that value stream and make sure that there isn't any waste affecting your supply chain. Number 3, once you have actually reduced the bureaucracy, found your non-value add activities in the value stream, you'll want to create strategic partnerships with vendors and work out situations where you can reduce the lead times and really also attempt to improve the cycle times, get some consistency, and form a relationship that can be enduring and support the project. And number 4, we have to understand the difference between these different concepts. If you have your install, right? And you have the production of a certain type of material, your lead time to get that done. So this is your activity, I'll mark it with A. This right here is your lead time. The actual cycle time that it takes to produce a single product may be a lot smaller than the overall time. So we can't just hear a duration, hey, our lead time is this duration. when the cycle time or the throughput might be much more accelerated, we've got to ask the question, what's going on here? Is this just market instability? Is this a buffer? Is this the fact that you're behind? You know, what is this from? And start solving the problem. So identify and discuss and solve the problem here when it comes to material procurement. You know, in closing, what I want to say is that most of the time material procurement delays come from not starting soon enough, okay, not managing it consistently, and not digging into the details to actually find out what's going on. So if you master these few concepts, which again I got from the book Built to Fail, I think you'll have a much better time and be able to recover the delays from material procurement. And remember that you can't have too much inventory on site, but you can't have too little. You have to right size them, and you right size them by doing those things, starting early enough, identifying the value stream and actually what's happening with your lead times, and managing it on a continual basis. But I really hope you're able to win with this. We're going to turn this video into a blog post that you can use and reference to go implement on your sites. I hope you've loved this video. On we go.